The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is hump day in the Riv after a council meeting full of liars, pants on fires. So we're going to get into that, but let's clean up our initial thing. Governor Baker declares state of emergency. Everybody stay home. Don't go anywhere.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of colleges and schools in Massachusetts are closing.
Closing,
Yeah, and Rhode Island just did it. They just closed all the schools in Rhode Island.
Yeah. And obviously, you know, this is the greatest way to sell a product. Remember when we had an antifreeze shortage and people were killing themselves over antifreeze, and then they were getting into fist fights over Cabbage Patch dolls. You know, the American consumer is a great thing. You just tell them there's going to be a shortage, and there'll literally be fights over everything in the markets.
I've made this clear yesterday. I posted it all over the place on Facebook, but I want to show it here. This is hand sanitizer, okay? The FDA has sent out a warning letter that says this is ineffective against coronavirus. It is ineffective against general viruses. And as a matter of fact, Purell, which is manufactured by Gojo, is being sued because they've been marketing it that way. And I got a copy of the FDA warning letter. So it's not like this is fake news. This is the truth. So all you people who are going out there racing around, getting into fights at Walmart for hand sanitizer, you're doing nothing for yourself.
See how stressed out we are? I forgot my Spindle City shirt today. It's hanging in a car. After yesterday's council meeting, I'm so distracted that I didn't do it. So look, you're right. Governor Baker's called it, but people. But you know as well. We had this conversation last night, CJ. People don't listen.
No.
They told them that the masks don't work. It's about the person with the disease not spreading it. But you still can't find masks anywhere.
And they're stealing them from hospitals that don't fit them.
I know.
You've got to be fitted for those masks.
Well, what do you mean the masks actually got to fit? So look, this is what we're dealing with, and those are the same people that vote. So remember, that's why we got the governments that we get. So now we get 2 Fall River employees told to self-quarantine. They both attended a conference in Las Vegas. So they're self-quarantining.
They're school department employees.
They're doing, you know, I mean, look. It's a new virus. They always have problems. I saw a stat yesterday. I forgot where I saw it, but they did a show on it, and they showed how many people died with the various other viruses that we've had throughout the ages. You know, and this one pales by comparison.
The flu is more deadly than this is.
And apparently this is if you're hovering around 80, and you've got underlying medical conditions, obviously you're always more susceptible to anything.
Correct.
But look, it's going to take time, and everybody's running around. You know, they think you can do things overnight, and you can't.
You have to explain something to me, Chip. Maybe you can tell me. Why are people hoarding toilet paper? They're buying up all the toilet paper in stores. Why are they hoarding toilet paper?
I guess for the same reason they buy bread and milk when there's a hurricane coming. It's like that's the only thing they buy. I know I wouldn't want to live on bread and milk. I'd actually go out and buy some canned goods or something like that.
Or ramen noodles at least.
Yeah, ramen noodles and you know, you got a little propane heater and you can make some ramen noodles. And last, before we get into the real meat and potatoes here, and by no means least, the new documentary coming in April. Do you know this face? In case you don't, this is the mayor formerly known as Jasiel, who's now being known as Jay. There is a documentary And according to IndieWire, it's called Run This City. Will appear on a newly announced streaming platform called Quibi?
Quibi.
Quibi?
Yep.
Well, whatever. Which is kind of like Snow Owl, I guess. Nobody ever heard of it. But you actually have to pay. How long is this?
10 minutes.
Yeah, and you have to pay $8.
$4.99 if you want. If you
want to watch commercials. And then
$8 if you don't want to watch
12
commercials.
minutes. You get 4 minutes of commercials and 8 minutes of. So. I wouldn't waste my money. We all know. We know enough. We know far too much about Jasiel already.
I personally think they're just going to rehash a lot of the publicized news stories and articles and whatnot.
And he must be getting some money out of this deal. He must be having residuals.
Maybe.
And the thing is, I don't think many people in the community are going to avail themselves of this.
And the forum is the format is only available on your cell phone. You can't watch it on TV. You can't watch it on your computer. You got to only watch it on your cell phone. So it's going to be very interesting.
But I'm sure there'll be a lot of people from out of town because they seem fascinated by our version of Buddy Cianci,
I
Mini
guess so.
Don, you know, Mini Buddy. And well, we'll see. But now,
Well, before you skip into
Okay.
the city council, the number of cases now in Massachusetts are 91 cases of coronavirus. 1 confirmed, 91 suspected. Things across the state are being canceled. They canceled the Boston St. Patrick's Day Parade. Even the Massachusetts Freemasons have canceled all meetings and all activities because their quarterly was, I think today, was supposed to be, and they've canceled everything.
91 cases, and there's 180,000 cases of the flu.
Right. So before you go somewhere, check. Now, you know, Rhode Island has closed a lot of its universities and colleges. I know Roger Williams University has, URI has. Once they go out on spring break, they're being told not to come back. They'll have to complete their coursework online. Check with your area, wherever you're going to, check with your event, see if they're going to have it, because a lot of places are canceling it. Also, remember, the Department of State has already recommended that no one take a cruise. No cruises. So if you've got a cruise coming up, you'll probably get on the ship, but you may not get off.
True. And we know that, look, take every precaution you can. Don't voluntarily go into, you know, places where there's a lot of people and avoid what you can, but you got to live your life and wash your hands with regular soap and water for 20 seconds, like they said, because it's just as effective, or maybe more effective than Purell or any of these other things. Because if you notice when you buy these things, even dishwashing detergent or other things like Mr. Clean, and it says kills 99.9% of the bacteria. Doesn't say anything about virus.
That's right.
It says bacteria. And therein lies the problem, that, you know, they're not the same. A viral infection isn't the same as a bacterial infection. So just do what you can. You know, don't hug strangers. You know, don't eat stuff.
Elbow bumps.
Don't eat things off the ground if it's been on there longer than 10 seconds and stuff like that. So, you know, just live. I mean, but be careful. Don't, you know, don't be doing things that put you in harm's way.
You know, I remember when we were kids, we swam in crap. I mean, you'd go down to Big Berries and swim. You'd come out with green clothes, you know? And you know, I remember sliding in a drain pipe and everything turned shit brown, okay? And we never got sick. You know, we ate some of the most disgusting things in the world.
In those days, you didn't get antibiotics every time you sneezed and create super bacteria, and that was the problem. We actually had immune systems that worked.
Exactly.
Because we had to. It's like going to Mexico. Why don't they get diarrhea? Because they've created antibodies against that stuff.
That's right.
You go down there, you get Montezuma's revenge.
Right.
Because we are, you know, our immune systems weaken when we overprotect them. Yeah, you're right. I swam in the South Watuppa when it was so green that it came out. We looked like the green
Giant?
slime monster or something like that. We actually didn't even have bathing suits. We used to sneak down. We weren't supposed to be swimming on, without parental supervision. So we used to sneak down there and swim, and we had to kind of like hide our underwear because we went swimming in our underwear. We had to wash the green stuff off it and hide it. And we ate dirt. We did a lot of things. We picked up stuff. It was like when we were kids. But there wasn't as many. We didn't get as sick. We didn't have a lot of cases of.
We survived pretty well. We really did.
Everybody didn't have to take Ritalin when we were growing up and stuff like that. But hey, it is what it is. But now that we're talking about misrepresentations of Purell, and let's talk about the constant and never-ending misrepresentations that the council gets and that the people of Fall River get that result in you getting killed with your taxes, the employees getting piled and piled. And those of you who haven't watched the meeting that CJ put on, that he filmed, please watch the Fall River Public Employees Committee meeting. It's on YouTube and it's on our site. And we expand on this stuff. Mary Sahadi got in there after that meeting, which really, really pissed me off. As a matter of fact, I called the mayor at home and engaged in a very vigorous repartee about, I thought we had put this to bed. She again mischaracterized everything. She's moving money, but nobody even gets to the core issue. Why does she have to move money? Because they never fully fund it. Is that prudent fiduciary behavior? No. This is the reason we're always in trouble. They lied. She said, our health care is covered. She also said there's no statutory requirement, half right. There's no statutory requirement that the employer, the city, has to keep a trust fund like the employees are basically mandated statutorily. They're mandated to do it for us. But you think common sense would prevail. The employees have almost $6 million in our trust fund. Do you think the city would be in this condition if they maintained trust funds throughout the years with health care money? No, she takes money that's actually supposed to be for health care and spends it in other places, which I don't think is legal. They've said, her and Kathy Ann, that they never fully fund it. And she said there's no statutory requirement, but there is. It's not 32B, where the trust fund is stipulated for the employees. It's in 150E. The collective bargaining law, because every time they pass a contract, they have to go before the council, review the contract, and tell the city council it is fully funded, not half funded, not partially funded, that it's fully funded. So they lied with every single contract that they've ever presented to the city council that had a health care provision in it, which is all of them. Every single contract that the city council voted on was voted on without the city's compliance to fully funding that under 150E. The city is obligated to pay 75% of the health care premium, 25% by the employees, and that's stipulated in every contract. So if you have that liability in the contract, you have to fully fund it. You don't have to keep $6 million in a trust fund. But if your part of that 75% is $38 million, you're supposed to have $38 million in the budget earmarked for health care. And they had the audacity to go up and say that. And Kathy Ann said, we never do. And Mary Sahadi got up there again and gave half-truths, out-and-out lies all night. Then she had the audacity to say that the employees are taking a risk by using 5.7. No, we're not. No, we're not. Blue Cross and Blue Shield recommended 5.4 on the healthcare piece. And that's in that video. Diane from Gallagher, previously Group Benefit Strategy, who's an expert in the field, that's all they do. She explained how they got to 5.7. We have never run over budget. We have always projected these things the same way. And Mary Sahadi is characterizing to the city council that we're taking some kind of risk. I submit to the city council that you're at risk every time you pay attention to any number Mary Sahadi gives you. Because you can't, the 8% is without rebates. Stop-loss rebates, rebates from the CanRx, Canadian Drug Plan, rebates from the drug prescription benefit managers that we carved out and got to last year. It's like you saying, well, all I'm going to show is how much I owe. I'm not going to show how much money I got to pay it. You can't do that because that's the only way you can figure out a budget. How can a city council figure out a budget when all Mary Sahadi tells you is how much they owe, and she doesn't tell you that she's got more money coming in on that she's not including in that 8%? And here it is, CJ. Can you zoom in on this? This is the meeting we had the day before that. See what that says? That is the one that does the active employees. You see that number up here? It says savings to date, not projected savings. We've already saved $3.7 million on our drugs that's coming back to the city. And she doesn't want to put that in the equation. That's the number we got the day before that meeting. And when you watch that meeting, Mary Sahadi was sitting right in that room when they were asked, anybody got a problem with 5.7? And she didn't open her mouth. She didn't utter a word. She only lies to the council because they don't understand. And they're calling us before the council. And they're going to get all the proof they need. They're going to get stuff like this. They're going to get the numbers for the last 10 years. She didn't mention we're paying less for health care today than we did 10 years ago. Why? Because of the hard work of the Insurance Advisory Committee, of the people who actually are in the room every day and have been in the room every day all these years, coming up with plans like this to save money for the city and for the employees. Her solution is always to take more money from the taxpayer and the employees. She wants to go to the GIC so they can shift the co-pays. So on a tier 3 drug, the employees can pay $165 rather than $50. So this is absolute bullshit. And the council should be taking her to task. She has been doing this since 1990 when they said that there was no money then for health care. We were out of money. And we got Ernst & Young and audited them. And we found out they had $2 million of our money and they had plenty of money. So they paid for our health care for 3 months and then gave us an $18 premium reduction for the rest of the year to pay back the money they owed us. That's how much money they had. When Mary Sahadi's firm said we didn't have any money, they did the audit. The 5 accounts that were dormant for 25 years, she was looking at the audits. They didn't catch it. In 2008, when there were millions of dollars again in their fund that shouldn't have been there. Again. What's the common denominator? How long are you going to allow the financial team of this city to lie, misrepresent, pad the bill so we get never-ending tax increases and a never-ending shift of the payments to the employees? And I'm going to tell you something. Mary Sahadi, I want to know how many Healthcare Advisory Board meetings, IAC, Insurance Advisory Committee, how many PEC meetings she's actually attended in her 30-some years working in one capacity or another for this city. She's showing up now because she's the acting / city administrator or interim, or whatever the hell you want to call her. She doesn't know crap. She knows nothing. She knows absolutely nothing about healthcare projections. And she's in there portraying herself as an expert. Why are we paying Gallagher? Why are we paying Diane LaFlash to do these numbers? And she explains how she arrives at this number. So Mary Sahadi last night at the city council meeting said she knows more than Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Massachusetts that said a 5.4% increase on the medical piece was adequate. We went up to 5.7 because Diane said we have to deal with the pharmaceuticals and the other pieces that were separated from Blue Cross, and we agreed. We have not run over budget in my recollection, and I've been there since 1981. We used to have 10% increases, 9% increases, and they're complaining about health care. This is, again, a diversion to show how broke we are so they can justify screwing the employees and screwing the taxpayer. We shouldn't have a debt override next year because they overspent their money, and they're not looking at the budget and looking at where they spent the money. Mary Sahadi got in front of council and said, oh, we didn't put away the money to buy the Chiefs vacation. Why not? Why did you agree to that contract? Why did you not see that when that came through the auditor's office? $78,000 check for somebody. You don't flag that? Who the hell's minding a store? The only thing Mary Sahadi knows how to do is cry wolf and say we need more money. And it's because of the Blue Cross, which it isn't. It's because of her retirement, which it isn't. Because she's the one that tanked the system. And anybody who wants to see the proof, I got it. And at the meeting, I had it. The last deficit we faced, we were $8 million in the hole with Flanagan. They changed our health care plan. They shifted $8.3 million of cost to the employees. That was the most massive pay cut veiled under a plan change. The unions got all up in arms when Bob Correa wanted to asked them for a 5% reduction in their salary across the board. But when Flanagan made us go to plan, they were going to go to the GIC, which would have been even worse. They took an $8.3 million pay cut for the employees of the city of Fall River. Employees who gave up benefits to negotiate their health care took less of a pay raise. I'm not saying health care isn't part of a negotiation. It always is. You can sit at a table on the city side and say, well, you know, you guys are doing a really good job on health care, which we are. You're actually paying less now than you did 10 years ago, and our budget was half of what it was 10 years ago. So it's even a smaller piece. But it still goes up every year, and it has to go in the budget. But we understand that. So we're going to give you a little bit less of a pay raise, but we understand that you guys are doing a great job. But no, Mary Sahadi is going to go in front of this council and lie her butt off and get away with it. When the day before that meeting, she was in a PEC committee meeting when the question was asked, not once, but twice, does anybody have a problem with these numbers? And if you can hear Mary Sahadi utter a word except a whisper to somebody else when those questions were asked or any numbers were reviewed, let me know where it is on the tape. All right, CJ.
What's interesting is, you know, you mentioned GIC, and that was brought up during that meeting. And you had said that Blue Cross Blue Shield had been asked for the runoff numbers, correct?
Yep. Correct.
Which is a way to get out of the plan.
Right.
So there was your giveaway that they were looking at doing something else.
Exactly.
But the mayor said, Where are you hearing that that we're going to the GIC? You had the numbers. You're asking for the numbers to get out of the plan.
Yeah, and he's, and I'm not gonna say that the mayor was lying. I'm not gonna say that the mayor was playing politics. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. We'll see what happens in the future. Maybe Mary Sahadi sent that email to get those numbers, to put together her plan to stick us in the GIC, because he did admit that Lowell's got it and this one's got it and they did this, and she's looking at all these other communities that have screwed their employees. So when he said, I don't know that, I didn't know that, maybe he didn't, but he knows now, because what he should have done when he walked out of that room was walk up there and say, did you send an email to Blue Cross for the runoff projections? Because it was true. You notice when I said I had the email,
Yep.
that was the end of that conversation.
I noticed.
Just like he said, well, we're not going to go to the GIC this year. That's another political, he's already getting pretty good at political deflection. You can't go to the GIC this year because you need, by statute, you've got to be informed of a plan change a year in advance. He can't anyway. But he also didn't rule out that he wasn't going to try to go to the GIC, and he even admitted he was going to look at the GIC.
Right.
So that's why, for the record, we had to make it clear. The GIC does not cost less for health care. It just shifts the cost to the employees.
And the state's
because if the
funneling money
cost
in.
of the health care was $40 million next year, if we go to the GIC, it's going to be $40 million. The only difference would be that under this plan, the city would have paid $30 million and we would have paid $10. And if we go to the GIC, we're going to pay $20 million and they're going to pay $20 million. So it doesn't help controlling healthcare costs. All it does is give everybody a hidden pay cut and screw people who gave up things and who worked their butts off to get a good plan. Because we will lose these $3 or $4 million rebates. Because when we go to the GIC, gone are the prescription benefit managers, because that's all part of the GIC, and I don't have to tell you that. You know that. All the stuff that we're saving millions on are going to be gone. And we're going to lose money. But see, that's the problem. To give the mayor some credit, he admitted he doesn't know shit about this. And he doesn't.
No.
And neither does Mary Sahadi, but the problem is Mary Sahadi goes in there in front of the council and tries to look like the Oracle at Delphi, and she knows absolutely nothing. I defy her to show me her credentials for being an actuarial in the healthcare industry. She has none. Blue Cross does, and they came up with 5-4. Diane LaFlash and Gallagher do. They represent numerous cities and towns in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and other places.
What was interesting was when that 5.4 came up, and that was the recommendation, Diane LaFlash turned around and said, but we wanted to go more conservative. I remember that quote very clearly. We wanted to go more conservative, so we went with 5.7, which tells me there's no risk if you're being more conservative in your projections.
Look, and there's another fallacy that she tried to perpetrate, like this is a risk. Healthcare is always a risk. We know that. Look at the problem this country's having. We've run under budget for decades. We've saved millions, millions and millions of dollars for this city. We have nearly $6 million on our trust fund, which proves. Does that mean next year we're not going to have the coronavirus wipes out Fall River and we get our health care costs quadruple? No. Well, guess what, Mary? There's the argument why the idiotic city side should have a trust fund like us, because that's why we got a trust fund. Because if we go run over budget for 1 year, that may be an aberration, but we can handle that shortfall because we got money in the bank. And all you know how to do is take money that was earmarked for health care and spend it in other areas, which I think is illegal. Because you're taking some of that rebate and spending it on things other than health care, and that is wrong.
Good argument. Hey, we'll see you on Friday. Follow up with the videos and see what's going on. And keep your politicians held accountable. Have a great day and stay angry.